because this is the type of stuff I like to do. This is the type of stuff that I prefer to do. You know, just have fun with some guys who don't give a fuck for once. You know, that's the problem.
Brie Larson's views, no.
The problem with most YouTube creators is that they care too much. They're so fucking invested in, you know, being a certain way, putting out a certain name. Oh, you got to be professional, Andrew. You got to do this and that. Bro, no, you got to be real now. And like, that's why I like hanging out with guys like you, because I know you're 100% real. And that's the people that I like to hang out with, and I choose to hang out with going forward. You know,
see, the thing is, you have to be genuine, right? And when you can truly meet someone who's genuine and not going, oh, I don't like to do that. Then you hang out with them like, oh, I like her because she's fat. It's like, wait a minute, bro, that's not what the fuck you said.
Right.
I get it. Content creators have to stick to a specific way that they produce things. This is why one of the reasons why I never, like, I always wanted to start a YouTube channel, but I'm like, nah, that's all right, I'm straight. Because I know within my first 10 minutes, I'm going to get yeeted the fuck all the way off YouTube.
You'd be good on Rumble, though, man. You can start a Rumble channel, Will, and you'd be killing it.
But see, here's the thing, right? So I would do something like that, but I don't think it's enough. I don't think it's enough people who are truly true to themselves and be like, hell yeah, I like fat bitches. I want this bitch to stick all her toes in my mouth.
If you went into the Will, you just got a niche. If you went into the thing called the Big Bitch Podcast on Rumble, right? Just the BBP, right? And that's all you did. And you said big bitches all the time. And that's all you did.
It blow up because there's that many big women.
And people will be reviewing.
Greetings and salutations. Let's see what we've got going on here in the wonderful world of absolute BS tonight. As you can see, I've got a little bit of festivity going on behind me. Got a little bit of green because this might be my last stream before the beginning of the new year. If you're interested, hit like and subscribe. I've sent invites out to other people. If they show up, that's cool. If they don't, that's cool too. So it looks like we got another Twitter Files Part 7. So I'm going to bring that up, see what they actually have to say. Doubt it's going to be anything spectacular. But if it is, well, we will just see. So looks like Mr. Michael Schelsberger has put in some more information there. Twitter Files, Part 7. The FBI and Hunter Biden laptop. How the FBI and intelligence community discredited factual information about Hunter Biden's foreign business dealings both after and before the New York Post revealed the contents of his laptop on October 14th, 2020. If you don't know what's going on with that, well, then you have not been paying a whole lot of attention. But of course, we shall continue on because it gets crazier. On the Twitter Files Part 6, we saw the FBI relentlessly seek to exercise influence over Twitter. This is like some fucking high school drama bullshit. If you haven't read Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, Part 4, Part 5, Part 6, then you're not paying attention to what's going on in the world of the Twitterverse. Because, of course, cheers to everybody, Twitter is not real. But I digress. Let's go on. In Twitter Files, Part 7, we present the evidence pointing to an organized effort by representatives of the intelligence community aimed at senior executives at news and social media companies to discredit leaked information about how Hunter Biden before and after was published. You realize that in the whole Twitterverse, that these guys that are publishing this absolute like fluff shit has been going on for at least 2 years. Everybody knows, they understand, they got the point. Are you gonna catch up to where everybody else is at and they're just sort of over this bullshit? Possibly. I mean, if your head has been under a fucking rock, then maybe you understand that, yeah, this stuff has been going on for quite some time, and it's nothing spectacular. It's nothing great. It's not telling you any more information than you already didn't know. If they would just get their head out of their ass and maybe show us some more recent information. It's like that bias confirmation. You know, that person is a bad person. Well, everybody knows they're a bad person. Well, you don't know they're a bad person, but of course they're a bad person. Anyhow, as they say in Twitter's Files, number 7, we present evidence pointing to an organized effort by representatives of the intelligence community. Story begins in 2019. As I said, this is 2019. When a Delaware computer store owner named J.P. Mac Isaacs contacted the FBI about a laptop. Blah, blah, blah. There you go. There's that information. Nothing to really show. He contacted FBI about somebody of importance that they have a bunch of like shady shit on their laptop. If you don't know who that is, well, get your head out of your ass, because it was Hunter Biden. Wonderful. By August 2020, Mac still had not heard back from the FBI, even though he had discovered evidence of criminal activity. No shit. We already know this. Shortly before 7 p.m. on October 13th, Hunter's lawyer, George Messaris, emails J.P. Mac. Hunter Messaris had learned from the New York Post that its story about the laptop would be published the next day. Of course, we already know that. FBI Special Agent Elvis Chan sends 10 documents to Twitter's then head of site integrity, Yoel Roth, through a teleporter, a one-way communication. So basically, this is just showing what's going on inside Twitter. Heads up, I will be sending a teleporter link for you to download 10 documents. It's not spam. Please confirm receipt whenever you get it. Received and downloaded. Thanks. Hooray. The next day, on the 14th of October 2020, the New York Post runs its explosive story revealing business dealings with President Joe Biden's son, Hunter. Every single fact was accurate. So basically, Hunter was doing shady shit. The Post reported it. Hooray. Everybody already knows this. Well, at least people that pay attention to what's going on know this. And yet, within hours, Twitter and other social media companies censored the New York Post article, preventing it from spreading and, more importantly, undermining its credibility in the minds of many Americans. Hooray! We already know this. On December 2nd, Matt Taibbi described the debate inside Twitter over its decision to censor a wholly accurate article. Since then, we have discovered new info that points to an organized effort by the intel community to influence Twitter and other platforms. No shit. We understand. So let's see what this bonehead has to say. First, it's important to understand that Hunter Biden's earned tens of millions of dollars in contracts with foreign businesses, including ones linked to China's government, for which Hunter offered no real work. Here's an overview by investigative journalist Peter Schweitzer.
Well, what we know is that the Biden family has benefited from commercial deals overseas to the tune of tens of millions of dollars. That's not in dispute. That's based on the so-called suspicious activity reports that the Treasury Department has released because a U.S. Senate committee asked for it. These documents show the flow of funds from Russian, Ukrainian, and Chinese sources, among others. So we know there's been a flow of funds. We also know that the people sending that money have very close relationships with the government. So in the case of China, for example, which I believe is the most troubling of the group of foreign donors, you can actually look on the Hunter Biden laptop and find the businessmen who secured these deals for Hunter Biden.
Oh, shit. We already knew about this. You also can look back at the Ukraine information that was coming out at the time that he was pretty highly embedded in what was going on in Ukraine.
There are four gentlemen that are named. If you look at those four gentlemen, each and every one of them has close ties to the highest levels of Chinese intelligence. So, for example,
not just China, but the Ukraine.
One gentleman who he calls the super chairman, at the same time that Hunter Biden secures a deal with him that translates into about $20 million, that same Chinese businessman is business partners with the Vice Minister of State Security in China, who is responsible for foreign recruitments. This has been reported in Hong Kong. This is not just Peter Schweitzer saying it. So you have the flow of funds. You have the flow of funds from foreign parties that are linked to the government and intelligence services. And then you have the third component of this, which is there's no discernible service or product or anything that Hunter Biden has brought to the table.
No, because everybody already knows that Hunter Biden is working for his papa. His dad is the link at that period of time to the president of the United States. Being a vice president, you have a lot of power. You're able to actually speak with the president and console the president and probably get them to push forward things that you normally wouldn't be able to push forward through. But hey, I'm just a layman. I'm just, some dude that actually at this point in time was working in a shop, like tearing engines down. What does it matter to me? Most people don't pay attention to politics. Most people don't pay attention to what's going on in their local community. You know how many people actually really care about Drag Queen Story Hour? About 2% actually give a valid concern for this shit. So, who's to say that, your babble and your politics, nobody's really paying attention to.
So the question has to be asked, why are foreign actors like these four businessmen in China arranging deals worth tens of millions of dollars to the Bidens and not getting anything in return? And what's important to point out here is
no, there's nothing important to point out. You're just talking out of the side of your fucking mouth. Because if there was something important that needed to be said, you would have said it already.
Is that Hunter Biden is the one who's the signatory on these deals, but the laptop also shows that money is fungible within the Biden family. We know that $2 million.
We already know this. Everybody's known this for at least 2 years. If you haven't, then you might want to pull your head out of that like suction cup of an ass that you have.
Dollars that arrived from China ended up with his uncle, James Biden. And we also know that Hunter Biden paid some of his father's bills while he was vice president of the United States. So this is not a Hunter Biden question. This is a larger Biden family question.
Now, one of the things that I hear from Democrats.
No, I just got to say that what the fuck is up with these glasses? I wore glasses like this in like the fucking 8th grade. Sorry.
Is that they say, well, this is kind of common. And look, the Trump family had all sorts of business dealings with Russia. Is that true?
So the Trump family.
No, Trump had a lot of ties with Russia and Ukraine because it's easy to make money off of a bunch of stupid people that have no idea what's going on.
Family does actually have some deals in China, although they kind of were unwinding. And I raised questions about that and some of the finance deals that Jared Kushner was involved in the Middle East. And those need scrutiny. They need analysis. And by the way, they were scrutinized by the mainstream media. So that's a good thing.
No, they weren't. Right there, he's absolutely full of shit because nobody was scrutinizing anything. They were basically going, yeah, we don't have enough information. Let's shut the fuck up about this bullshit. Simple as that.
The Biden deals weren't, but there's also a crucial difference here in my mind. And that is the deals that the Trumps had with China. The one that really translated into money was a deal that Ivanka Trump had for the manufacturing of shoes and other things in her apparel line.
That's just a bunch of fucking like, let's scrape the fucking bottom of the barrel about shit. If you have any shoes that were produced, they were probably created in China, and more than likely there was a 5-year-old child doing your fucking shoes, okay? Get over it. If you're not going to be outraged by all the other bullshit that China is doing to their people, then why in the fuck are you outraged about the bullshit that some fucking politician is doing? Just saying, don't be an ass.
That was a line started, 10, 15 years ago. My point being, those were actual legitimate businesses that predate any involvement in. You certainly watch them and be aware of them and
well, there's a little skip there. What did he have to say?
Take them into account. With the Bidens, we're not talking about that. Hunter Biden, after his father becomes vice president of the United States, suddenly decides he's going to go into international finance. Ill-defined. He has no background. He has no experience. And he's not doing deals in London or Tokyo. He immediately goes to Russia, China, and Ukraine.
Go figure.
For those deals. So I believe all foreign deals should be scrutinized, but you have to differentiate in my mind, the difference between.
And if you remember that little Miss Nancy Pelosi was traveling over to what country recently? Would that have been Taiwan? It ended up almost becoming a national incident. Yeah, I'm just a fucking idiot. So basically, she goes over to Taiwan and basically tries to strike some sort of deal to basically bring some of the manufacturing that's happening in Taiwan to the United States. And of course, she puts somebody in her family. Maybe it was her son. I don't know. You could look that up, but I believe it was her son that she put in charge of handling these deals, because you know, a politician working these kind of deals might look a little bit shady. Just saying, if you're investing in some Taiwanese chip manufacturers that might have their country invaded in some short period of time, maybe you get your son involved and have them move some of that stuff to the US. Maybe might be a safe bet.
Between, say, Michael Bloomberg, who his company Bloomberg has major business dealings in China.
All of these fuckers have major dealings in China. If you've got mass production and the US is not producing anything, you have to find somebody to produce the work that you want to have done.
Which need to be watched, but that's a legitimate business. You cannot compare that to Rosemont Seneca Partners, which is frankly, in a large extent, a fictitious business entity that was funneling money to Hunter Biden and his family.
Now, what about Trump's relationship?
It wasn't just filtering money to Biden's campaign. It was also filtering money to what was going on in the US. They've been doing this since before most of you fuckers were born. Pay attention.
Relationship with Russia.
I just want to say I really hate this fucking dude's glasses. They just don't fit well.
Well, there was no question. There were discussions, and there was a sort of verbal agreement to build a Trump Tower in Moscow, but there was no real exchange of money in that case. And again, I would say, look, that deserves scrutiny, but Donald Trump actually has built hotels and condos around the world. Certainly, it's not appropriate to be doing that while you're a candidate or president of the United States.
See, this guy's conflating two different things. Just because Trump is president of the United States does not mean that his businesses are not still operating. Got to understand, there's a reason why. God, this guy's fucking horrible. There's a reason why most people don't understand the amount of money that you might have, and if you're running for, say, president, or you happen to be president, does not mean that your businesses aren't signed over to somebody else to actually run them.
But to somehow put that in a nefarious light when you're ignoring a business that has no history that predates your father being vice president of the United States, and you have zero track record in it, I don't think you can compare those two very effectively.
All politicians are crooked.
Tony Bobulinski is credible because he provides the actual communications, the comms that took place. I've actually seen the BlackBerries and the phones where this correspondence took place, and it's very straightforward. Number one, Bobulinski released to the Senate and gave to the FBI correspondence that I've seen.
That was a cover your ass kind of situation. If you know anything about Bobulinski, that was basically, yeah, I'm doing some shady shit, but if I bring it out and basically open myself up to the rest of the world, you know that my shady shit is still shady, but here it is, and you're welcome to view it as much as you want to. And it sort of shuts down the media quite a bit, because you're basically saying, yeah, I know I'm doing some fucked up shit, and well, here it is.
That shows clearly that they were not to discuss Joe Biden's involvement in the business. There are actual correspondence that Tony Bobulinski has with the business partners where they say, don't bring up the father's name, don't discuss the father in the context of the deals. The family's very skittish
Don't discuss the father
about it. In other words, the partners did not say he's not involved. There's a Chinese wall, so to speak, that divides him from these deals. It was don't discuss it. And then you have correspondence when they're discussing a deal with CEFC. This is a Chinese energy company that is going to be setting up a Chinese energy infrastructure fund in the United States, that the ownership structure is such that 10% was going to be given to Hunter to caretake for the big guy. There's lots of correspondence on the laptop and in Tony Bobulinski's communications where the big guy is the reference for Joe Biden. So that's the first thing to consider. The second thing to consider is there is lots of evidence on the laptop.
And you also have to understand that this guy's outlook on this is all pure speculation. He's basically looking at the information that's been given to him and making a decision based upon that information that's given to him. He doesn't have the inside scoop on any of it.
That Joe Biden was familiar with his son's deals, and it's worth looking at kind of
everybody knew about this shit, but they paid no attention. Blah, 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 blah.
The evolution of what Joe Biden has said. When I first broke the story in my book, Secret Empires in 2018.
Oh, that's a grift right there. Just in case you didn't know, here, check out my book that was released in
18 about the Biden family's deals in China. The
when was it
initial
released?
Biden response was, there were no deals. There's nothing to see here. This is fabricated. Then when it was confirmed that, okay, yes, there were deals in China, Joe Biden's position became, well, I never discussed those matters with my son, any of these business dealings. We now know, of course, that Joe Biden flew his son on Air Force Two
Of course.
to China, where Hunter Biden
Known that
met
for
with
years.
those Chinese business partners. And we also know on the laptop that, in fact, there are references to Hunter Biden saying to his business partners, I talked to my father about this deal and he's going to help. So now they've shifted from saying there were no deals, Joe Biden didn't know about the deals, to Joe Biden didn't benefit from those deals or did nothing to help these deals along. And my point is, this is what you need an investigation for. Look, we've got the transference of millions of dollars for no services rendered. Nobody's disputing that. We know the individuals who transferred this money have connections to foreign intelligence services. We know that.
Anyhow, as we could continue on with the Twitter Files Part 7. And yet, during all of this BS, the FBI and other law enforcement agencies repeatedly primed Yoel Roth to dismiss reports of Hunter Biden's laptops as Russian hack and leak operation. From this sworn declaration by Roth given in December of 2020. There you go. Since 2018, I've regular meetings with the office director, blah, 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 blah. During these weekly meetings, blah, 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 blah. Scramble, 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 because they have really nothing to say. They did the same with Facebook. And if you haven't seen this with Joe Rogan,
just so you know, the background here.
If you haven't seen this with Joe Rogan, then I suggest you actually check the information out, because this little alien-looking motherfucker, yeah, he says, well, it wasn't quite as bad as you think. It's 24 seconds, but listen to what he has to say.
Here is the FBI, I think, basically came to us, some folks on our team.
FBI came to us, or some folks on our team.
It was like, hey, just so you know, like, you should be on high alert. We thought that there was a lot of Russian propaganda in the 2016 election.
Which is a valid excuse. It's just like we've got this shit coming out of Russia that was Russia. It was affecting us. So the FBI is stepping in and saying, hey, we've got this disinformation that's coming out. And from a layperson, you don't really pay attention to that. It's just like, oh yeah, that sounds very plausible. And then, of course, whenever you've got someone that is actually in charge of all this stuff, you've got your boss that's saying, you guys do what's best. If you've ever worked in a large company, you understand that most of the time the bosses have a lot of other shit that they're dealing with, and your little peons are basically doing the work for you. You're looking at the overall picture, they're dealing with the very small, minute portion of it, and they're sort of relying on you as the CEO to give them the information that helps them out and helps them be understood, and they're still going to throw that shit back on you. But of course, Zuckerberg doesn't quite understand that bad information that he's getting from intelligence communities that he's basically passed down to, you deal with this, because as long as I don't know, I'm good to go.
There was a lot of Russian propaganda in the 2016 election. We have it on notice that basically there's about to be some kind of dump of that's similar to that. The background here.
And that's basically where Zuckerberg cuts off on there, because listen to the whole interview with Joe Rogan. Basically, Zuckerberg is basically throwing the FBI and his peons underneath the bus because he doesn't want to take responsibility. I don't blame him. If I was the head of all that shit, do you think I would want to take responsibility, or just basically blame it on somebody else? And of course, Mike continues on with part 14, where the FBI warnings of a Russian hack and leak operation related to Hunter Biden and any new intel. No, they weren't. Through our investigators, we did not see any similar competing intrusions to what happened in 2016. Of course, there were no intrusions in 2016. This is absolute BS. And of course, 15, indeed, Twitter executives repeatedly reported very little Russian activity. Of course. On September 24, 2020, Twitter told FBI to remove 345 largely inactive accounts linked to previous coordinated Russian hacking attempts. They had little reach and low follower accounts. Of course. In fact, Twitter debunked false claims by journalists of foreign influence on its platform. There's really nothing to talk about this, because, of course, what does this have to do with any of the BS they've actually just been talking about? Absolutely none. Michael, give information, not shit that we already know. Nothing is more annoying than whenever... imagine this, going on to some sort of news channel and you're just wanting to get the daily news. What happened in Bumblefuck, Egypt on such and such date, and you're scrolling down through the news and you're looking to find out information about what happened in Bumblefuck, Egypt. Why did this person do X, Y, or Z? And next thing you know, you have speculation by Twitter users. Immediately, whenever I see that kind of shit, I just go past it. Swipe right. I guess that's what you would call it if you were in a dating app, because it's absolute bullshit. And just because someone is throwing out some sort of Twitter feed does not necessarily mean that it is actually true or accurate. They just happen to be throwing something out on Twitter. I can tell you, I've actually absolutely shown bullshit on Twitter before, and I've had people go, well, that's not true. Well, no shit, this is fucking Twitter. This is not the real life. Why don't you get off your sorry little ass and actually report the news? Because that's what we want to hear. We want to hear the news. We want to hear an unopinionated document of the news. Nobody seems to want to do that. It's really easy. Here's the news. Here's what happened. Jane's cat was caught in a tree for 3 hours. Firemen came and saved the cat. We don't need to know what the fireman's sexual preference was, but that's what you think is news. And it's not because it's actual news, it's because what you think should be news. Give us the actual story of what happened. How did the cat get up there? Did it crawl up there? Did somebody put it up there? Did somebody shoot it from a cannon to get it into the tree? Give us actual news, and you will find that if you give us news, we find it more credible than this BS of giving some sort of sway or information that is beyond the scope of what we really actually care about. And I'm just talking about some dude that worked in a fucking shop for I don't know how long. How hard is it for you meatheads that are your social media, your mainstream media, your new media, whatever? Just give us the information. Let us make the decision. We don't need your opinion on the situation unless it actually calls for it. If I wanted to know what Bob was thinking down the street whenever he threw the cat up into the fucking tree, I would actually ask. But this isn't an opinion piece. Because most of the news that you're getting is nothing but an opinion. Once you realize that the news that you're receiving is nothing but opinion, you sort of, it will sway your outlook on the news that's being fed to you. I mean, all you have to do is look back at Brooks, look back at Heard, the whole Heard Johnny Depp stuff. Most of the people have an opinion based on what some news report said instead of actually watching the trial that was going on. And so you develop your opinion on what somebody else's opinion is, or what they decided to report, or what they didn't report, or what they didn't say, or what they did say. If you watch it for yourself, you understand that it's pretty straightforward. The truth is seen by your own eyes. Somebody can come along and tell you, hey, you know, I saw aliens last night, and that's all that they have to say. But then whenever you dig deeper into the story and you go, well, he was actually talking about illegal aliens. So yes, he did see aliens, but they just happened to be illegal aliens. And then someone comes along and says, did you see the UFOs? You're going, well, there was no UFOs. What are you talking about? And you can sort of go, well, that's misinformation. There were no UFOs there. That's not what they were talking about. Some things get lost in translation, and it's really screwed up that most people find themselves in this situation where they're hearing news reports from a slanted point of view that's actually an opinion piece, and they take it as true news. It doesn't mean that it's true news. It just means that they were reading an opinion piece, but they didn't know that they were reading an opinion piece. I digress. Sorry. Continue on. In fact, Twitter debunked false claims by journalists of foreign influence, blah, blah, blah. Number 17, after FBI asks about a Washington Post story on alleged foreign influence on a pro-Trump tweet, Twitter Roth says the article makes a lot of insinuations, but we saw no evidence that was the case here, and in fact, a lot of strong evidence pointing in the other direction. Number 18. It's not the first time that Twitter's Roth has pushed back against the FBI. In 2020, Roth resisted FBI efforts to get Twitter to share data outside the normal search warrant process. Elvis, hey, as discussed, here's my suggested response. Of course, feel free to tweak, edit, but I tried to hit the major points. At this point, we don't think a call directly with your colleague at the fort is the best path forward. As a rule, we're not able to directly discuss data licensing relationship with third parties, such as the customers of our data customers, both due to confidentiality reasons and limited information on our end about the business decisions that may have led one of our customers to decline to provide services to the government. We also have a long-standing policy prohibiting the use of our data products and APIs for surveillance and intelligence gathering purposes, which we would not deviate from. Ultimately, we want to be good partners to the government and help combat our shared threats. But the best path for NSA or any part of government to request information about Twitter users or their contents is accordance with a valid legal process. Hoorah. 18, of course, is not the first time Roth has pushed back against the FBI 2020. We have seen a sustained, if uncoordinated, effort by the IC intelligence community to push to share more info and change in our API policies. Of course, everybody knows this shit. All you have to do is pay attention. If you're an actual blind sheep, you believe that fucking Trump was the goddamn next Messiah. You would also believe that fucking Biden is the next Messiah, or you believe that some other fucking weird motherfucker is going to be your next Messiah. If you want to get out and live your life, you get out and you live your life. You do things that make you happy. You enjoy company with the people around you. What your government is doing is basically screwing you no matter what side of the aisle you're on. You could be on the left, you could be on the right. It does not matter. These people seek power. They seek to actually rule over you. If you don't see that they're looking to rule over you, then you deserve every fucked up thing that happens to you. Just saying. Pay attention to these fuckers that are around you. They don't have your best interest. They have their best interest in heart. And again, FBI Twitter asks for evidence of foreign influence, and Twitter responds that they aren't finding anything worth reporting. No shit. That's how it goes. Despite Twitter's pushback, the FBI repeatedly requests information from Twitter that Twitter has already made clear it will not share outside of normal legal channels. Of course, smart move there. Then in July 2020, the FBI's Elvis Chan arranges for temporary top security clearance for Twitter's executives so that the FBI can share information about threats to the upcoming elections. Oh, since I brought up security clearances during our call, I don't think that we have anyone at Twitter who has a permanent security clearance. Correct me if I'm wrong. What I propose is a 30 days out of the election, we get temporary clearances. You get to pick who they will be. Let me know what you think. Thanks, Elvis. Office M. Chan, Supervisory Special Agent Squad, CY1 National Security, FBI, San Francisco. Don't care about Elvis. Elvis has left the building and he will screw you over. And of course, on August 11th, 2020, Elvis shares this information. I've got more information to share with you via teleprompter. You'll see an email from it shortly so you can download the document. Thank you. Of course, Elvis continues on. Alcon, in advance of this week's meeting, I'm going to be sending you 3 documents through FBI application called Teleporter. You will get a link from @noReply@teleporter01.org, which will expire in 24 hours. Please download the documents when you have a chance. The documents will not denote the actors, so I'm providing them here. A, FITF, topic B, APT 28, C dash Sandworm. We'll be discussing A and B, but don't have anything additional for C at this point. Thanks. So creepy motherfuckers. Recently, Yo Roth, Cowick, sir, that he had been primed to think about the Russian hacking group APT-28 before news of the Hunter Biden laptop came out. When it did, Roth said, it set off every single one of my finely tuned APT-28 hack and leap campaign alarm bells. Dude, you sound like a total fruit.
Campaign alarm bells.
So it looked possibly problematic.
Everything about it looked like a hack and leak. We learned about.
Yeah. Don't care about fucking bonehead. Number 25. In August 2020, FBI's Chan asked Twitter, does anyone there have top secret clearance? When someone mentions Jim Baker, Chan responds, I don't know how I forgot him. An odd claim, given Chan's job is to monitor Twitter, not to mention that they worked together at the FBI. Dun dun dun. Dun dun dun. Okay, enough of the dramatic music. Who's Jim Baker? He's former general counsel of the FBI, 2014 to 2018, and one of the most powerful men in the U.S. intel community. It sounds to me like you're like promoting this motherfucker that, is just, he's a fucking spook. All spooks should not be trusted. That goes for you too, Jack Poso. No, I don't trust any sort of spook. There's a reason why I don't trust the spooks. It's because I know enough of them. Just saying, I don't trust you. You're spooks. That's what you do. Self-preservation. I understand. Don't care. And of course, you can go through all this bullshit if you actually care. And it goes on. It's basically just a bunch of dick stroking motherfuckers. If I told you about the shit that I did in the military, you would find it absolutely uninteresting, because what did I do? I was a mechanic. I was a 63 Bravo before they actually became something else, because I think they eliminated the 63 Bravo. No different than whenever I enlisted, there were corporals, but they changed that about the time that I enlisted, and they ended up becoming specialists. wars, I believe it was. So basically, I enlisted in the military as a E1, went to E2, became an E3, which is private first class. So E1 is private first class. And then I was actually supposed to become a corporal. They ended up making me a Spec 4. And the unit that I was enlisted with, they wanted to make me a sergeant, but because the way that the military operates is we have enough sergeants, you'll just have to wait. So I waited 2 years, become sergeant. And by the time my 2 years were up, I was done with my service, and I actually signed the paperwork and said, see you, bye, I'm out of here. I can actually make a life for myself outside the military. Don't jerk me around anymore. And therefore, whenever I got out, I was happy with my Spec 4 classification, moved on with my life. For other people that were in my unit that basically would suck ass all the time, they actually ended up making sergeant about 2 or 3 years later, which doesn't do you a whole lot of good whenever you're actually trying to make a living for yourself. Military does not pay. I suggest if you're going in the military, you're going to serve your country. You're not going to make a whole lot of money. And you have to be fine with that. Me personally, I wasn't fine with just sucking the corporate dick, and I decided to move on with my life. And at that point in my life, I could be making close to $120,000 a year, which is what I decided to do. I would suggest if you go in the military, you are going there to serve your country. It is short-term service. If you can move up in your ranks, absolutely kudos to you, and I support you 100%. Become a military person, and you will understand some of the heartfelt shit that I felt whenever I was in the military. I do not regret a single day that I was in the military for the training and the skills that they gave me, but I will tell you right now, it is not going to give you any sort of reward for the risk that you put in. Enjoy. All right, enough of the military rant. All right, so let's look at this one right here. I think I already pulled that one up. Continuing on. 27. As general counsel for the FBI, Baker played a central role in making the case internally for the investigation of Donald Trump. Baker wasn't the only senior FBI exec involved in the Trump investigation to go to Twitter. Don Burton, the former deputy chief staff of FBI James Comey, who initiated the investigation of Trump, joined Twitter in 2019 as director of strategy. Go figure. As of 2020, there are so many former FBI employees, Boo alumni, working at Twitter that they created their own private Slack channel and the crib sheet on board new FBI arrivals. Number 30, efforts continue to influence Twitter's Yoel Roth. In September 2020, Roth participated in an Aspen Institute tabletop exercise on potential hack and dump operation relating to Hunter Biden. The goal was to shape how the media covered it and how social media carried it. Hooray. Gotta love these folks. It's wonderful. Number 31. The organizers was Von Schuyler, the former CEO of NPR, former head of news of Twitter, former general manager of New York Times, former chief digital officer of NBC News. Attendees included Meta, Facebook's head of security policy and top national security reporters for the New York Times, Washington Post, and other. There you go. There's all the people that were involved in this shit. So, I think that everybody is caught up on all the Twitter bullshit, and there's really nothing more to talk about from that perspective, because, yes, Twitter was controlling your thoughts and minds. Everybody was duped. Everybody was scammed. Everybody was swindled. Here's the thing. You can't be scammed or swindled if you don't allow yourself to be scammed or swindled. A lot of people sort of live on the edge of that cusp of stupidity that I find very interesting. Me personally, I like to take low risk and make good profit off of it. It's not hard to do. All you have to do is pay attention to what's going on in the world around you, and you can go, yeah, this is a really stupid move. I mean, whenever you got some little fuzzy-haired motherfucker that's making you a lot of money, it's just like, wait a second, so how is this guy making money? Where did he come from? What did he do? Let's see. Why don't we look and see where this kind of shit is coming from? Oh, look at this little fag twat. FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried agreed to be extradited to the United States because, you know what, it really sucks being in a fucking prison in the Bahamas. I've never been there, but to me it doesn't sound like a wonderful place to be. Where federal prosecutors have indicted him on 8 counts of fraud and conspiracy. Jerome Roberts, an attorney representing SBF in the Bahamas, confirmed Monday afternoon that his client has agreed to voluntarily extradite to the United States of America. No shit, you'd think you might want to do that. In an interview with local journalists obtained by CNN, Roberts said SBF's next court appearance will be to complete the extradition process. SBF is expected to appear back in court Tuesday morning, according to a spokesperson on Fox Hill Prison, where he's being held in the Bahamas. The Nassau Magistrate Court opens at 9:30, with his first hearings at 10 a.m. SBF's hearing is expected to be among the first of the day. SBF, the 30-year-old former crypto celebrity, no, scam artist, call him what he is, you fucking twatwads, was arrested a week ago in his luxury residence in the Bahamas. Federal prosecutors in New York charged with defrauding customers and investors in FTX. The cryptocurrency exchange he founded in 2019 in a series of media interviews and tweets since FTX filed for bankruptcy last month. SBF has admitted to managerial mistakes while denying that he knowingly defrauded customers or investors. No, he is trying to make a deal because right now he is not being treated very well in the Bahamas. I am positive that that is the case. And they basically are trying to get all of their money. Bahamas wants all of their money. If you were a absolute third world fucking country, would you not want to receive all that is due to you before all of those rich Americans decide to wheedle in and take all of the fucking money of this poor fucking country? In a series of media interviews and tweets since FTX filed for bankruptcy last month, SBF has admitted to managerial mistakes. Roberts told journalists on Monday afternoon that there's a possibility of SBF could be extradited the The same day, in his next court appearance, Roberts warned to emphasize that SBF wishes to put customers right, and what has driven his decision to be voluntarily extradited to the United States, because he does not like having his little niblets chewed on by rats. Earlier on Monday, extradition proceedings for SBF appeared to be stalled as Bahamian attorney and local prosecutors argued bitterly in court. Doesn't sound too bitter to me. Prosecutors indicated there had been an agreement with SBF's U.S. attorneys to allow his extradition. See, what really pisses me off, and I'm sorry, it just might be in your writing, because you're up here and you're going, possibility Bankman-Fried, known as SBF, could be extradited, and then you continue to say his fucking name as Sam Bankman-Fried. It's SBF because you already stated it earlier. So put it down here in your goddamn bylines. SBF, we all know, we understand. So I'm going to continue on without being too fucking annoying. But SBF's Bahamian attorneys, Roberts, said he himself had not been part of that agreement. Roberts claimed prosecutors wouldn't share the U.S. indictment with him, and he should not have to fish on the internet for it. In response, prosecutor Franklin Williams dismissed Roberts' accusations, saying that it was not to be believed. SBF, who wore the same navy blue shirt he wore last week when he was arrested, was expected to drop his extradition fight, clearing a significant hurdle to return him to U.S. soil to be prosecuted on multiple charges, because there's people on U.S. soil that will actually let him get away with absolute fucking craziness. If you haven't been paying attention to this, there's money coming from SBF going to a lot of the SEC officials. It's going off to Ukraine. It's coming back to DNC. It's going back over into this other company. And it just is this tangled web, and everybody trying to trace where the money is going. It's like this little hippie chick. Oh, I got all this stuff going on. It's so wonderful. It's all so beautiful. You don't see. Where's the blue ball? There it is. Oh, it's right there. Where's the blue ball? Where's it going? That's all it is. It's a fucking sham shit show, and he got fucking busted. All this is to make crypto look like it's an absolute garbage trash thing, so you can get the people that are actually have money to invest in it. They will spend all of their cash in this little crypto, but that they know is actually going to work. They're going to go, yes, let's buy into this right here. And it's really cheap because everybody is so scared of this fucking money. But over here, you're paying attention to this dumb shit of going, oh my God, crypto is so fucking horrible. Let's buy a whole bunch of stuff up. So they buy all this stuff up. And next thing you know, the crypto market takes off. And guess what? You're going, why in the fuck didn't I not invest in this one stock? Why did I not invest in this? It's because you plebes are not allowed to. If you invest in this particular realm, we're going to make sure that the investors in there are totally cashed out. Then we're going to buy it up, we're going to change it to something else, and we're going to make it valuable. And guess what? We already knew we were going to do that. We're like Nancy Pelosi on fucking vodka. I digress. The courtroom was packed during the hearing, mostly with U.S. Embassy officials and members of the crypto community who wanted to see Bankman-Fried continue to be held in the Bahamas for punishment rather than be sent to the United States. Don't believe them. At the end of the hearing, frustrated magistrate overseeing the case cleared the courtroom so that SBF could call his U.S. attorneys with his Bahamian attorney present. SBF was then returned to the Bahamian prison where he has been held for the past week. Oh, woe is me. Just saying, you ripped off a lot of fucking people. We're not talking just about, just a little bit of money. Imagine Imagine the amount of money that you might have in your savings account. $100. Say you got $1,000. It's more than 100. Imagine that you've got 100,000 of those $1,000 sitting in your bank account. But that's all that you're claiming, because you also have another $44 billion unaccounted for. They say 7, they say 8, they say 9. I've seen multiple reports, multiple monies being spread out here, there. You know, you're saying, oh, he only screwed everybody out of $7 million. Then explain to me why his parents have a $16 million mansion. Oh, okay, it was 7 billion. I'm sorry, I misspoke. Well, what happened to all the investors over in Europe? Oh, okay, it was only 14 billion over there. Well, what about the people in Japan? Oh, that was only 1 billion over there. What about the people in Ukraine? Oh, that was only like 8 trillion. The money is not adding up. All of your numbers are not adding up. It's just it's smoke and mirrors. That's all this shit is smoke and mirrors. And the reason why it's smoke and mirrors is because they want to basically come back and say to you, Joe Blow, you decided to put your money onto something that you thought was going to do really well in the future. But you know what? Now you can't touch it. Even though, yes, it's going to do well in the future, but Joe, sorry to tell you, all those thousands of dollars that you put into this crypto project, what a dumbass. It's not worth anything because we own it and we own you now, bitch. I digress. This U.S. legal team did not immediately respond to requests for comment. Earlier the day, a representative for his lawyers declined to give specifics about a timeline, saying it was tough to give specifics while relying on Bahamian courts, which I agree. Just saying. I've flown to St. Lucia and got off the airplane, and had this guy come up and, ma'am, I would like to help you with your cart to the shuttle. And me not paying attention, my wife says, absolutely, I would love you to take our luggage to the shuttle. And he loads up her bags on there, and he literally walks 30 feet out the back door to where the shuttle was waiting and charged my wife, I don't know, $5-10, something like that. And I looked at her, she looked at me, and I went, okay, why did you do that? She was like, I didn't know. And that's how Bahama is. The Bahamas are like that. You're going to take your ass to a foreign country and you're going to go, you're so used to the luxury of France, Paris, Europe, the United States, working your way through all the customs bullshit. And you don't realize all you have to do is walk through a fucking conveyor belt. You put your shit on there, you step off, you grab your fucking cart, you walk fucking 15 feet, and you're at your back door, and it didn't cost you a dime. Dudes are hustlers. Don't blame them for that. But you people are fucking stupid because you're raised on this sort of entitled, everybody is like trying to help me through the most difficult time in my life. There is no difficult time in your life. You only make it difficult on yourself. Don't be a dumbass. I digress again. At the end of the hearing, the frustrated magistrate overseeing the case cleared the courtroom so that SBF could call his U.S. attorneys. So I already read that. SBF was then returned to the Bahamian prison where he had been held for the past week. His U.S. legal team didn't immediately respond to requests for comment Earlier in the day, a representative for his lawyers declined to give specifics about the timeline, saying it's going to be tough to give specifics about, while relying on the Bahamian courts. Already read that. SBF had initially planned to fight efforts to return him to the U.S., but after a week in Nassau's notorious Fox Hill prison, he appeared less interested in keeping up with what would have likely been a years-long battle to avoid extradition. Whenever you get rats nibbling on your toes, it'll do that. The U.S. State Department reported that conditions at Fox Hill are harsh. The report criticized the prison for overcrowding, poor nutrition, inadequate sanitation, and medical care. Crowded cells often lacked mattresses and were infested with rats, maggots, and insects. Isn't that swell? SBF is expected to again request bail once he is in U.S. custody. If denied bail, he would be held at Federal Detention Center in Brooklyn, New York. Inmates, lawyers, and human rights advocates say the conditions inside the facility, which mostly houses pretrial defendants or presumed innocent, are also inhumane, citing overcrowding, frequent loss of heating, and poor sanitary conditions overall. Because you're in jail. Do you think you should be treated really well while you're in jail? No, because it will make you want to not to do stupid things while you're in jail. Just saying. If you're going to spend your time in jail, my suggestion is don't do the crime if you don't want to do the time. That's all there is to it. Most people are not happy doing the time. That's how it goes. Needless to say, it is rolling on the 11:30 hour. It'll be hitting midnight here soon, here in Atlanta. And I would just like to say to everybody, I wish you happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever it is that you might be celebrating, celebrate it with people that you love. Enjoy your life. Be happy with what you have, because what you have is all that you have. The people around you are going to make life so meaningful. Finding a family, finding a group of people to be with means so much. You will find so much entertainment out of being around people that share the same values as you. Even if you disagree on the minor stuff, it's still Christmas. I don't celebrate God. I don't celebrate Christ. Actually, I do celebrate God, but in a different way. That's a different stream altogether. I will say that find peace in yourself. Once you find peace in yourself and you're happy with wherever you might be, you're going to find that it is just the most relaxing thing in the world. I wish well for everybody. I wish everyone to have a beautiful new year. I'm going to take these off. There is something to be said about family. My family is very distant. They're very far away. I have family in Arizona, Illinois, Colorado, California, Florida. I have family everywhere. I have a half brother that I found out about not too long ago, which we've actually communicated, and he's a pretty cool dude. I'll have to bring him on sometime. But outside of that, I just want to say that there's something about being with people that you will find enjoyment out of. Even if they're people you don't agree with politically or socially, find time to spend with them. Be thankful for them. They'll be thankful for you. I'll be thankful for you. all you guys that are out there saying, oh, well, this is just a most depressing, horrible time of the year because X, Y, or Z. Get over your fucking self, grow a set of balls, go meet some people, and invite them over for a Christmas dinner. Hell, if it takes your entire month's paycheck, invite 5 people over and tell them to invite some other people over, get together, and make it a regular thing. Tell them the only entrance is I'm going to supply a turkey or a ham or whatever. Find a couple of people and say, hey, I'm going to have a turkey. I'm going to have a ham. I'll tell you what, you bring over just, whatever wine, whatever beer, bring over a side dish, whatever. It doesn't matter. You guys come over to my place. We're going to trash this place out. We're going to have an absolute blast, and it'll be absolutely great. Everybody's going to have a good time. I've got other people coming over. Come on over. We'll have a good time. Don't expect anything out of it. If nobody shows up, I'll tell you what, you get some of the best fucking turkey or ham or whatever it happens to be your choice, and you get to enjoy it by yourself. It is glorious. You go, you know what? I might have spent $30 on this ham, but I'm going to be living high off this hog for the next fucking month. But if people show up, guess what? The following year, people are going to be wanting to do it again because there's people out there that are actually lonely. They're actually not able to spend time with family. Maybe they don't have a family. You invite them over, you sit down, you have a weird conversation about some absolute bullshit. This is what the holidays were meant for. It isn't meant for, oh, my family all gets together and Uncle Paul fucking farts all the time and tells the little kids to pull his finger. That's not what it's all about. It's all about being thankful for what you have and for the people that are around you. And you would be surprised how many people around you are actually lonely and miss out on just some sort of communication or a reason to fucking get out of their own little bubble. Jump out of that skin that you've got. Make your place the place to come to. You'll be surprised how enjoyable of a time that you're going to have, and you don't even have to interact. Even if you're an introvert like I am, where I don't like interacting with people a whole lot, I will tell you what, I've invited people over, cooked out, and they've come and said, wow, that's the best time that I ever had, because there's no social expectation to that. It's just coming over, hanging out, having a good time. They bring their own booze, you bring a guitar, you sit around, and next thing you know, you've got 10, 15 people sitting around having a good time. That's all you have to do. Christmas is a time of celebration. It's a time of celebrating the birth of Christ for the Christians. For everybody else, it's just a good time to be off work, to not have to do anything, to indulge a little bit, to enjoy yourself. So enjoy yourself. If you're wanting to seclude up and lock yourself up because, oh, this is the most depressing time, it is not the most depressing time. And I will tell you right now, it is not the most depressing time. The most depressing time is whenever you depress yourself and you're in that position of everything and the whole world is out to get me. That is not what it is about. It is about finding that human connection. And it's not hard to find that human connection. I can walk down to my local grocery store and I can walk in there, and I guarantee you I could walk up to one of those clerks and say, you bring your boyfriend, bring your significant other, bring your husband, whatever. Here's my address. I want you to come by on Christmas Day, and we're going to sit down, we're going to have a dinner. Bring over your drink of choice. I'm going to kick up the fire pit. It's going to be cold as fuck outside, but we're going to sit down for Christmas. If I wanted to do that, I could do that. Only problem is I have obligations with family. This is not a difficult thing for people to do. If you want social interaction with people, make social interaction with people. Don't be worried if they say, that's a little weird, that's creepy, I'm going to be spending time with my family. That's cool. But they're also going to remember that you sent out an invitation and you weren't expecting anything from them. And don't expect anything from them. Give out the invitation. If they don't show up, that's cool. You've got a whole fucking ham to yourself. How enjoyable is that? I've done like ribs while my wife has been out of town on a conference. Invited people over, they didn't show up, and guess what? I got ribs and I had beer and a cigar. Maybe with some bourbon. Cheers. Just saying, it's not hard to actually have a good time by yourself. It sucks whenever you're by yourself, but try to make that human connection with other people. All you wonderful people, I just want to say, have a wonderful Christmas. If I'm not able to be on for the next few days, it's because I might be traveling. I might be out of town spending time with family and with my wife, which I absolutely enjoy. But I would love to stream more, and I see that I have some followers that are wonderful. Maybe they see this, maybe they don't, but if they do, Happy New Year to you. Merry Christmas. And start in the new year. I'm going to put out some more solid streams, and I think that I can readjust my time just a little bit to maybe get some people to join me in this conversation of stupidity and craziness called life. And I would love for people to jump in, shout out, give a hard time to me, challenge me, tell me where I'm wrong. I'm fine with that. Tell me where I'm right. Don't care. Yeah, maybe I do. But hey, cheers to all of you. And if I don't see you before the new year because I haven't streamed anything, doesn't mean I don't care. It just means I'm taking a little bit of time off with the family. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for subscribing, and thank you for joining me in my travel of being a completely stupid idiot, because that's what I am really good at. Yeah, I like being a fool. Most of the time. Sometimes it gets to me, but hey, everybody have a wonderful evening. I will see you on the flip side. Peace, y'all.
Exotica.